epistemic modality, analyzing learner and native speaker corpus. First of all, let me talk about background of the study. English modality actually, according to Kotzer-Werner, English modality refers to the writer's judgments or stance and topic being discussed. And then let me talk about its function. Its function were to express a writer's logical meaning, which typically dealt with the writers making inference or predictions. The epistemic commitment was often seen as a principal way by which writers could use language flexibility to adapt to positions and to express point of view. However, the appropriate use of epistemic modality was considered significantly difficult for many edge writers due to its complex semantic structures. This was because the writer's epistemic commitment could be expressed actually in different ways, and this expression could convey a wide range of meanings, as Harlan and Witten pointed out in 1997. Therefore, it seems apparent that edge researchers should have a good understanding of edge writers' use of epistemic modality. However, there not have been enough empirical data about how Korean edge writers use epistemic modality compared with native speakers. So I didn't mention here, but a previous study mainly discussed edge learners' errors in comparison with L1 writing based on theory of contrastive analysis. They actually conclude that the major difference between two groups were due to rhetorical and cultural differences in conveying epistemic meanings. Therefore, the study aims at examining how Korean edge learners use epistemic modality compared with native speakers based on two Corpora. So I thought that findings of the study would provide an important empirical data for relevant academia and teaching context. So for the research question, first I have three research questions. First one is in which way the Korean edge learners use epistemic modality in their edge writing, and second one is in which way the native speakers use it in their L1 writing. And the third one is how differently the native English speakers and Korean learners use it in English writing. So let me talk about review of literature. As Lyons mentioned before, epistemic models were concerned with matters of knowledge, belief, or opinion rather than fact, expressing the speaker's logical probability, which typically dealt with the speakers making inference or predictions. In the same vein, Harner, 1990, argued that epistemic models were the speaker's own judgment on the topic. For instance, it may be quote tomorrow in this sentence, could the speakers express the speaker's degree of logical probability, but it's a weak rather than strong. As an example shows, may express the speaker's degree of logical probability that was weak than strong, and what the speaker was intending to convey was his or her assessment that probability of being called the following day was relatively low. A speaker would possibly use may regardless the interlocutor or the situation. Like may, the epistemic function model verse involves the speakers making inference. Okay, please look at this sentence. Jenny said someone's knocking at the door, and Logan said it must be Eric. So in this sentence, must shows the degree of certainty regarding inference. So let me move to the degree of the certainty based on this table. As you see in table 1, it shows degree of positive certainty based on Coates and Hoffman's study. As Jenny mentioned, someone's knocking at the door, logo may say must be array. 2, it should be, or it may be, or it could or might be, showing high certainty to low certainty. They also mentioned, as you see in table 2, degree of the negative possibility. For instance, when Jenny says, someone's knocking at the door, it's array. So logo may apply response, it might not be array. 2, it should not, or it wouldn't, or it can't be, or couldn't, showing from low possibility to impossibility. In addition to degree of certainty, Parno also pointed out degree of predictions in terms of order verbs, such as in table 3, showing degree of positive prediction. For instance, Jenny said, what did Robin say? The logo may answer, it will be cold tomorrow. 2, it may be cold, or it could be cold tomorrow, showing high probability to low probability. Let me move to table 4, which shows degree of negative prediction. Negative prediction shows a little different hierarchy compared with positive prediction. For instance, Jenny said, what the weatherman say it will be cold tomorrow, do you agree? Logan said, no, it might not be cold tomorrow, or it depending on the degree of probability, Logan may say it shouldn't be, or it won't be, it can be cold tomorrow, showing low probability. So as you see here, modality is very complexity. So that is why, as Highland and Milton in 1997 study mentioned, actual learners experience incredible difficulty using epistemic device appropriately because its meaning could be signaled in many different ways. In addition to modal verbs, as Holmes and H. and Sparvic mentioned, there are at least 350 other lexical devices used for this purpose. So as you see in table 5, lexical device for epistemic purposes, there are several different lexical devices such as epistemic verbs, adjectives, adverbs, and nouns. I show you in the right side some examples here. So for this study, let me talk about methodology here. To use how L1 speakers and L2 speakers use epistemic modality in their writing, I created 2 corpora. First one is learner corpus, and the other one is native speaker corpus. For learner corpus, I use Korean L2 graduate students. They are majoring English education. Actually, I use this one for the semester, so they actually self-assess their language proficiency intermediate levels. I use this one for Likert scale from 1 to 10 points scale. They mostly mention they were from 4 to 7. For the topic of the writing was expository or argumentative or opinion-related writing concerning general issues such as asking their opinion on need for homework. Most students are actually English teachers in secondary school, so and when I grabbed this data, it was in the era of the corona, so I asked sometimes, do you need, what is the advantage or disadvantage of online class or something like that during the corona era? And for native speaker corpus, I downloaded from Louvet corpus of native English essays from British American University students. Actually, this corpus has a lot of different topics, but I chose only argumentative, and sorry, there is some typo I think here, and expository about history and contemporary social issues because compared with learning corpus, it should be comparative. So in in these types of topics, there was some subtopics such as French higher education or asking the problems of transportation system or something like that. So comparing with the words, for learner compass I used 188 essays, including 94,015 words. For native speaker corpus, most 10,000 words actually consist of the size of the corpus. For the analysis, I use a concordancy program ENCODE version 2020. And for classification, I use grammatical and semantic classification. For grammatical classification, I use Lion, Lichis, and Sparvix category. And for semantic category, I use Hooks and Howlands and Miltons. So table 6 shows major epistemic categories based on Howlands and Milton. For instance, there are 4 different items, including certainty, probability, possibility, and mutability. On the right side of the table is some examples. So let me talk about the procedure of the study. First step was I extracted all the tokens from the 2 corpora. And the second step, I examined the concordance output. And third step, I analyzed the frequency of epistemic modality both quantitatively and qualitatively. So based on this analysis, let me move to the result sections. So actually, this table shows overall frequency of the epistemic modality. As you see here, in total number, learner corpus shows 1940 and non-native speaker shows 1901. It's almost similar, but learner, actually Korean learner use more epistemic modality than native speaker. The second one is starting from 100 words, showing 1.75 versus 1.71. So based on this one, these figures seem similar to the results found in previous study, such as Zhang and Han and Milton, even though data size of this study differed from a little bit from the London literature. Next table shows the most frequent top 10 items expressing epistemic modality. Those are top 10 keywords, most frequently used words for learner groups. And I highlighted some important findings we should look at together. First one is will. Will is actually frequently used in both corpora, showing first place in learner corpus with 132 times of the frequency. And if you see the native corpus, will is actually taking second place, showing 131 frequency. But the interesting thing is you need to look at the use of the wood in native speaker corpus. Because it's frequently used only in native speakers corpus. In top 10 frequently or words, there is no typing in learner corpus. The Korean students are reluctant to use wood in their writing, I think, based on this data. The third one you need to look at is use of the may. As you see in this table, may is actually used in both corpora, but in learner corpus, Korean students use 60 times of the frequency, while native speakers use only half of that, almost 35, only 35 of the frequency. I think that is because native speaker corpus and native speaker use different types of the lexical items, not only made but also different kind of items as used later. The next one we need to look at the use of the think. I think is as you see both Corpora and Korean students use the think 80 times and native speaker use the 57. So as you see here, the use of the think is a kind of exclusive certainty marker in both Corpora. And what else? Number 5 is interesting because should is only showed in learner corpus, especially taking second place, showing 103 times of the frequency, even though there is no use of the show in top 10 rank in native speaker corpus. And number 6 is major use of the could. Could is also a major possibility, signs of the unique possibility marker, but only used in a learner corpus. Because Korean learner, I think, love to use could or can, even though there is no could in top 10, virtually top 10 key items in native speakers corpus. So let me move to the grammatical distribution. As you see here, frequency of epistemic modality across the grammatical class, Korean students use the modal verbs the most, showing more than 500 times here. The blue one is learner corpus. However, native speakers prefer to use adverbs other than other grammatical items. So when we look at this one in detail, L2 learners' preference of modal verbs might be due to album transfer or disappropriate attention they receive in L2 pedagogical materials. And for the verbs, when I look at in detail, native speaker of course use more variety types of different adverbs such as actually, perhaps, probability. However, learner used a limited range of adverbs such as almost, around, and almost. Let me move to the semantic categories. I use the analysis, the categorization of homes and Hollands and written. And this figure actually shows the distribution. Korean learners use the certainty markers the most, showing more than 350 times. However, native speakers use the probability item the most, showing more than 250 times. So based on this one, when I look at in detail, I mean the sentences concordance, Korean learners use more formal assertions or more authoritative tones or stronger epistemic commitment in comparison with L1 languages. For instance, in their writing, people always check the temperature. Online class definitely have a powerful educational opportunities. So in terms of probability, based on the data, we can say that native speakers use markers of qualification, either conveying the real probability or expressing doubts in the validity of the content proposition. For instance, they seems like to use like that way. One particular statistic seems to appear a few times throughout the article and so forth. Second one, if it's then will it affect them? It may affect them, but only in the long term, etc. So further discussion, based on the data as Che and Lee previously highlighted, Korean L2 learners seem to employ more limited range of epistemic modality, and these results supported some epistemic modality effectively. Because of the lack of their pragmatic knowledge, they might heavily rely on modal verbs and expressions of the certainty. Compared with previously, I found some distinctive features. Compared with Allison's and Milton's and Harlan's study, the result of the study seemed to differ from the previous literature besides the local difference. Actually, previous authors mentioned that the difference between L1 and L2 writing was due to logical difference, but I think not only difference but also influenced by many different factors such as L2 language proficiency, education curriculum, or teaching approaches, and L1 transfer. As result indicated, Korean L2 learners overuse of modal verbs without employing other epistemic items might be due to their low language proficiency and the lack of their other epistemic devices, actually other studies already pointed out. So it's because traditional English Korean Korean English textbook and classes mainly tend to list and summarize forms and meanings of modal verbs, not including other epistemic devices to convey their meaning. Because even though I didn't include in this study, I interviewed some teachers participating in this study, and they themselves told me they didn't know exactly different types and various types of epidemic device. So because they haven't learned when they were, students, but not only students but also as a teacher. So for the pedagogical implications, Korean English secondary school teachers themselves have very low levels of understanding of epistemic models. So teacher education programs would emphasize a variety of usage and functions in their curriculum, such as micro-teaching practices. So let me talk about the limitation of the study. I think I used a little small cover size data from Melanie, and also Melanie used the intermediate levels of students in a certain context. So for the future studies, if it's possible, including different language proficiency data, with increased corpora size, we would have more comprehensive and in-depth study in the future. Thank you.
Thank you for the super efficient talk. Thank you very much. So we have about actually 15 minutes for the Q&A. So any questions, long or short, are all welcome. Okay, please.
Since I couldn't talk in the last 2 days, I'll save it all for today. So I have one question maybe that the semantics technicians can help with, and I'll start with the other one first. The empirical issue, I might suggest that it's not clear to me as an English speaker that these slight differences matter, right? So I don't know if you have the interest or the ability to run an experiment rather than just doing a corpus analysis, but you could manipulate the writer's actual amount of certainty about some topic, and then have native English speakers judge the writing to detect how much certainty the writer has, right? Because it might be that the tools they're using are perfectly fine. I mean, the goal of learning a second language, the first goal is communication. The second goal is to sound like you become a spy and imitate the local person. The second goal is not as crucial, maybe, right? So if you're communicating effectively, maybe that would be enough. So I don't know if you've run experiments or thought about running that kind of experiment. So see, you give them a topic like a topic where they know something about, a lot about it, and the other topic they don't know much, and then see if the readers can detect how much they actually, what is their epistemic certainty. Have you done any experiments like that?
Well, based on my experience, I think most Korean students and teachers would know that we only learn very limited a range of the differences about epistemic modality. Based on this study, I also realized there are a not degree of the epistemic function in the school age. And also our Korean textbook didn't emphasize this use and its function. When I was young, at the same time now as well, because when I asked the English teachers nowadays, they didn't even emphasize this one because they didn't, I mean the degree of the modality actually didn't include in Korean SAT. So it's very upset, but that is why I think many Korean writers, even though they are English teachers, use very limited range of the epistemic modality. That is why I think that it maybe should be important to emphasize its correct use in their grammar classes, for instance.
My point was that maybe they're already good enough, right? So the crucial question is whether or not native English speakers, or actually even non-native English speakers from non-Korean backgrounds, can they figure out if the Korean using English is expressing their certainty accurately? So maybe they're doing it in a Korean English way, but maybe that's effective enough for all.
Yeah, A1 transfer is possible.
No, I mean, it just might be that they're using a strategy that works well enough. It may not be exactly what natives do, but it works just as well. My other question, which is one I think maybe the semantics and syntax people could help, is you have these scales of epistemic certainty, and you start with must as at the top, right?
Yeah.
I don't think that's true.
Yeah, that is why I think, it's very important to highlight
Even words like certainty or definitely or I know or anything, I think all those are weaker than just a plain statement. So if you say like somebody's at the door and you say it is Eric, that is more certain than it must be Eric. Because you're saying it must be Eric, then why are you saying must? You must have some pragmatic reason for expressing some distance from the claim. Or if you say I think it's Eric, right? That's also not very strong. I know it must be Eric. It's like even weaker than it is Eric. Right? So the best way to express certainty, like we live in a Wikipedia article, right? Everything that in a Wikipedia article is supposed to be the truth, and the writer is supposed to be the expert on it. They never say, Newton must have been born, or whatever. They just say Newton was born instead of Wikipedia, right? So it's not going to be very effective, a very good way to. If you're focusing on any word in your corpus analysis, you're going to miss, the most basic tool for expressing certainty, which is not marking anything.
That's true. And as this study showing through the result, Korean users also use, as you told me, for translation more of the term. Maybe some native speakers feel a little surprised when they say very stronger epistemic commitments in comparison with other L1 speakers. So the thing as a teacher, I think that Korean students should learn more various ways of epistemic modality, such as adverbs. They use really low and limited numbers of adverbs showing its meaning. Maybe, I think because they don't know how to use it exactly. Because Korean students only focus on the meaning of the words there is, of course, it depends on the context, and depends on the intimacy. But we use a hatch a lot because sometimes sharing direct way sounds very unpolite, as most Japanese say. But I think the Korean people don't realize that because it comes very naturally, because it's the L1. I think that is why. And also, in terms of, when comparing L1 and L2, they don't know how to use expression of hats in L2 appropriately. That is why in their L2 categories, they use only limited range of the modal verbs or the verbs, right? So that is why they use sometimes more assertive tones or more stronger tones of, like he mentioned, have to, you must. This is very strong, sometimes sounds awkward, but they use because they don't know how to use differently. But I think that Japanese people, I don't know Japanese people a lot, but Japanese context, they use hatch all the time, but not like a Japanese in L1 Korean.
Japanese also has a very rich inventory of sentence final particles that also carry meanings that are very similar to modality. So yeah, does Korean have similar?
Yeah, but well, it really depends on the intimacy, and it also age generation depends on the generation. For instance, in my family we talk very direct. We don't use so we use just we don't use a hat kind of things. But for instance, in this context, we use a hat all the time, something like that. So it depends on the context, I think.
Oh, yeah, sure, go ahead.
This one? Yeah, I just, kind of mentions probably, the her study, just have the participants from the English language teacher in Korea. But I would like to mention the unique characteristic of teachers in Korea. The most teachers just focus on the Korean national curriculum. So Korean English national curriculum did not include this kind of the modality, especially this epistemic, modality.
They didn't mention actually degree or
Yeah.
hierarchy
Yeah.
of the modality. They only focus on the meaning, right?
Meaning, yes. That's why I think probably, just the first results just to show the very kind of the limited function. The teachers do not try to learn these types of things because they don't teach in the class.
They may think that they don't have to.
They don't have to write.
Because it's not in Korean SAT,
The national curriculum does not include this information. Yes.
Unfortunately.
So thanks for the additional comment. Any other comments or questions? If there's no more questions or comments, I guess we could happily take our break. And many thanks to our speaker again. Also, thanks to the amazing efficiency of all our three speakers this morning in the first session. We have a longer break. are we taking a longer break right now? So we have about actually 20 minutes. So let's take the break. And